Hi, this is Dan Whitney with the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Today I'm going to talk about the $100,000 false imprisonment lawsuit against a car dealership here in Maryland that Tom McParland wrote about in his article on Jalopnik in early February. So first of all, thank you, Tom and Jalopnik, for writing about that. I appreciate getting the interest. So false imprisonment in car dealerships. The two terms don't really go together until you think about all the different shenanigans that car dealerships can get up to on their never-ending quest to squeeze money out of customers. So I sue a lot of car dealerships here in Maryland, new car dealerships, used car dealerships. A lot of them are up to no good, and a lot of them have an unending number of schemes that they deploy on unsuspecting customers. But in this particular case, what happened is a woman went to go buy a vehicle, and during the purchase process, she discovered that the price from the buyer's order to the finance contract had been increased by over $1,000. And she saw this and she did not want to sign, but her situation was such that she had just had an accident and she needed new transportation. So effectively she said to the finance manager, I see what you're doing here, I don't like it. And because they refused to make the numbers be accurate and decrease the finance contract back to the buyer's order price, she said, fine, I'm going to buy it, but I don't like what you're doing here. And she signed anyway and took the car. And of course, even though you sign, you still have legal rights. It's not like just because you signed, you're done and they've cheated you and they've won. That's only the beginning. So she signs and she's upset, but she takes her vehicle and leaves. So she comes back approximately several weeks later to deal with a paperwork issue, and she runs into the GM, and the GM says to her, well, she says to him, I'm very upset about what happened, and she goes through it again, and he says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll refund you the money that essentially they increased the price by, but you have to sign a confidential release. And she, being an extremely strong person and strong woman, says, not only am I not signing this, but now I'm going to tell everybody that you tried to force me to sign this in order to get my money back. I'm not doing it, and I'm even more upset now. And the GM refused to just give her the overage that they charged her back without the release, confidential release. So what happens next is there's an issue with her temp tags. And she gets a text the day before her first set of temp tags expire, and the text says something like, your second set of tags is ready, come on down. She says, okay, fine. So she comes down from where she is and she parks at the dealership, and she goes inside to talk to the GM, and she's told by an employee, the GM will talk to you, but he's back in an office. You have to go talk to him in an office. She says, I just want my tag. I don't want to fool around, just give me my tags. They said, well, if you want the tag, you got to go back to the office. Okay, fine, is what she says. So she gets back to the office, and what she said is that the GM got her in a room with a finance manager and said to her, unless you sign this release and a buyer's order that matches the increased price on the finance contract they got her to sign, unless you sign this, and the release, of course, had confidentiality, we're not going to give you this second temp tag. She says, no, I'm not doing it. And they refuse, so she says, fine, I'm leaving. So she goes back out to the parking lot where she had backed in, and what does she see? But one of the dealer's vehicles has now parallel parked right in front of her. So she's stuck. What happens next? But the GM comes out while she's sitting in her truck because she's so angry, she doesn't know what to do. She's sitting there. He comes around with the screwdriver and starts taking off the temp tag, although it has not expired yet. It expires that night or at midnight. So it's still her tag and it's still valid, yet he's trying to take it off. So she calls my office. She doesn't know what to do, and we've been talking about the $1,500 overcharge already. And it turned out that the best solution in this high pressure, high emotion situation was to call the police, which she did. So she calls, the police are dispatched, they go out, there's some body cam footage, and it's approximately an hour before the GM agrees to move the truck that he had caused to be parked in front of her. But finally it gets moved. So after she leaves, she calls me, and I immediately send a letter to the dealership that says you must preserve all audio, video, surveillance footage of everything. Preserve it on this date and these times, and you know, to their credit, of course they're required to. They do. And so what happens next is a lawsuit is filed. As part of the discovery process, we get all those recordings, and sure enough, thank goodness they had a great surveillance system. You see her truck pulling in and parking. You see her going in, and then almost once she hits the door, you can see a lot attendant pull up another vehicle and just block her right in. There's no two ways about it. That's what they did. Although after the fact, they texted her and said, "You parked in one of our car rental spots. We didn't mean to block you in," but that was a complete and total lie. They did mean to block her in. That's exactly what they did, and that's why they didn't move the car for an hour. So anyway, after suit was filed, nature took its course. There was a mediation, and the case ended up getting resolved for $100,000. So there's other ways that false imprisonment can arise. Hiding keys, blocking people in, of course, is what happened here. And really, I don't want to say there's a limit. There's an infinite number of ways a car dealership can trick somebody and cause them to be stuck. There's not enough time to talk about them all. But I hope this has been interesting. If you want to read or watch any more videos, we've got some more on the YouTube channel. So thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Tom, thanks again for writing the article. And take care.